All right, everybody, what is going on? Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. And you know what time it is. It's Wednesday, so we're going to do another Seattle Seahawks mock draft. This is 10.0. We've gotten through quite a few already, but there's enough variety in this draft. As much as it's not a great draft, there's still variety that you can glean from this draft to at least make things interesting. And there are still good players this team can end up with is one thing that I am uncovering, I feel like, as I go through these. Now, I am posting this video earlier than I usually post a video. Usually, I always post my first video at 9. I'm posting this one a couple hours earlier because I'm actually going to be appearing on Dan Vienz's show today, and I'm going to be going live with him at about 9 a.m. So I wanted to go ahead and upload this before that show went live. So I guess that's another thing I should say here. I'm going to be on the Seahawks Forever podcast, a guest appearance talking about some of the free agency stuff that's come up and some of the draft stuff that's coming up. So check that out if you get the opportunity to. I don't know exactly how long we're going to be going for, but it should be a fairly focused conversation talking about where the Seahawks are and where they're going. So yeah, definitely just trying to knock this out of the way before we get to that show. So yeah, Dan Vienz's Seahawks Forever podcast. Go check it out if you don't know about it. I think most Seahawks fans know about it at this point. Dan Vienz does good work over there. And yeah, that's what I'm doing this morning. Now, as for mock draft 10.0, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, only 4 picks, so it won't take that long. Although, one thing that did happen over the last couple of weeks here is that we were informed that our 6th round pick is not 212, but it's actually 188. So it improved by over 20 spots. That's pretty good. I know it's the 6th round, but it's better than going the other way, I guess. Okay, so mock draft 10.0, no trades. Let's do it. First round pick is going to be TJ Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson. I was surprised. I looked back at my previous mocks. I had never done TJ Parker in the first round. And after looking at him and thinking about it, he's actually becoming one of my favorite guys. I think that TJ Parker is a top 20 player in this draft. And to me, if he's there at 32, that makes too much sense as not only somebody that can help us a little bit now, but a long-term DeMarcus Lawrence replacement. This is a bigger edge who is and should be going forward very, very good against the run. And he doesn't necessarily have everything you want as a pure edge rusher, but that's kind of McDonald's type. So TJ Parker, I look at him, I see a guy that Mike McDonald is going to be into because the skill set kind of matches up. We know that McDonald likes the bigger edges, likes the stouter edges, wants his edges to be good against the run and be able to play with power. And that is TJ Parker. Now, what TJ Parker may not do, although he is very athletic for his size, is get first step quickness around the outside and then use bend to get to the quarterback in a flash. That's not necessarily his game, but right now, I think the Seahawks are going to be thinking about finding replacements for the bigger run-stopping edges they have right now. Uchenna Nwosu and DeMarcus Lawrence, if they are with the team in 2026, it would be logical to assume that they are in their final year as Seahawks. And in the case of D-Law, maybe final year period. So you got to start thinking about the future. And TJ Parker, I think, would be a big part of the future. So that's my first round pick, and I am very into him. My second round pick is going to be Mike Washington Jr., and I'm just going to say it. He's going to come up in a lot of my mocks going forward because he's emerged as one of the running backs the Seahawks can get that is going to actually bring dimensions to the running game that it doesn't have right now because of his speed and because of his dynamic ability. I know that there are problems with him, the fumbles. There are things in his game that are a little bit awkward. There are some things that indicate he may not end up being able to take full advantage of his significant athleticism and talent. There are issues in his bag, but this guy has potential to be a top running back in this league, I believe. And there are a lot of running backs in this class where I don't feel that way. I look at some of these other running backs that we could get, some of whom are even more highly touted than Mike Washington, and I see a lower ceiling. I look at Mike Washington and I see a guy who could be one of the best guys in football if he gets the right coaching. I don't know if I see a guy like Nick Singleton ever being one of the best running backs in the league. Even a guy like Jadarian Price, who is generally considered to be a better prospect than Washington, I don't know if I ever see him being one of the best running backs in the league, but Washington has upside. And as of right now, we need a running back that can take on a significant portion of the load. I don't think the things we have in place right now in Seattle are good enough to just get some random nobody in the draft and say, okay, you're going to get a few carries a game, and maybe by the end of the year you're getting like 10 carries a game. That's not good enough. We need somebody that can actually really contribute. So Mike Washington Jr. of Arkansas is my second round pick. Third round pick is going to be Dalen Everett, a cornerback from Georgia. Inside, outside flexibility. Been a good player for that Georgia defense for a little while now. Got pretty decent size. Should be able to play on the boundary. The arm length isn't ideal, admittedly, but when you get down to the third round here in this draft, the things you find are not necessarily going to be perfect anyway. And I like Everett's game. He tested fairly well overall, I think, as well. So if you're going to wait until the bottom of the third to get a cornerback that can eventually help you, I think Everett is probably about as good as you can do. And if this is the way the Seahawks decide to go, they are probably going to need to make sure they get a good veteran corner, somebody like a Marlon Humphrey, Cam Taylor Britt, or L'Jarius Sneed, that kind of guy, to make sure that they don't end up asking too much of Dalen Everett in his rookie year. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I would like to do that anyway. Even if we get a guy like Chris Johnson in the first round, I would like to do that. So to me, Dalen Everett is one of the best things we could do if the cornerback need gets pushed back to the point where we don't address it until the third round. So pretty good. At this point, I think we have three guys that can help us as rookies. Everett maybe a little bit less than the other guys, but if he needs to go out there on the field, I think he would probably be a little bit better than Pritchett. Everett's a pretty decent tackler, pretty decent in run defense, and those are things that are obviously very important here. So I'm pretty into it. And finally, my sixth round pick, now 188, is going to be another running back, although keep in mind, Adam Randall played wide receiver in college until last year. So you are getting kind of an all-around player here with Adam Randall. Running back from Clemson, a lot of injuries in his career, but very unique skill set, some real upside here to be a great pass-catching back. He's got great size for a back. He's got the 4.5 speed with his size that makes him pretty darn interesting. And in a backfield that is really taking a lot of risks for 2026 with unproven guys and guys who have never had a full workload. And even with Mike Washington in tow, having another guy with a little bit of talent here, something a little bit better than what you can get from guys off the street, is something that I think this team needs to try to add. So now, if Randall is part of your plans for 2026, and he wouldn't necessarily be, it's a sixth round pick, you're in a place where you've got some fairly significant depth at that position. All right, so that's going to do it for Mock Draft 10.0. I'm pretty happy with this one. We get some guys that I'm really like, guys that I'm really into, guys that I think could be great in this league. I think that TJ Parker is just the kind of thing that we should be looking at right now. To me, if he's there at 32, and there's no guarantee that he will be, he could go a couple picks before our pick. I think he should go in the middle of the first pretty much, but if he's there at 32, very hard for me to pass that one up. It's going to take a lot for me to be down with passing up TJ Parker in the first. Mike Washington, one of the more fun prospects in this draft, and that includes the downside. Everett, cornerback of the future, kind of a long-term corner, maybe kind of a fringe depth guy, but also somebody that can reasonably start games and you feel pretty good about. I mean, Josh Jobe, it's a 3-year deal, so it's not like the need at corner is necessarily imminent anyway. And then Adam Randall, just kind of a fun running back to throw in there. So let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day. And that is how things are looking for me as I start to really hone in on this draft stuff. Go Hawks. Check me out on the Dan VN show. Not going to be uploading at 9 because of that show. And then I'll upload again at 11. So see you guys then. But hopefully I see you guys before then on the Seahawks Forever show. All right. Go Hawks.